If you're over 60 and love fish for your heart, you might be in for a surprise. Because some of the fish you eat to protect your heart could be the very same ones quietly damaging your blood vessels while you sleep. Let me tell you about John, a 68-year-old retired teacher from Ohio. For years, he did everything right, or so he thought. 3 times a week, he'd have fish for dinner, tuna sandwiches for lunch, salmon on Fridays, sardines on the weekend. He believed he was fueling his heart and brain with the best food nature had to offer. But one morning, John woke up dizzy. His speech was slurred, his left hand tingled, and his wife noticed the corner of his mouth drooping. He was having a mild stroke. When we ran his tests, his arteries were stiff, his sodium levels were high, and mercury had quietly built up in his system, not from fast food, but from the fish he ate with good intentions. And that's the part most seniors never hear about. Fish can be a blessing or a ticking time bomb, depending on which kind ends up on your plate. Some fish are overloaded with sodium from canning and processing. Others carry hidden toxins like mercury and PCBs. Certain types are fried in industrial oils that destroy their omega-3s and turn them inflammatory instead of healing. The result: a perfect storm that thickens your blood, weakens circulation, and increases your stroke risk sometimes overnight. But here's the good news: once you understand the difference between the harmful and the healing types of fish, you can take back control. You don't have to give up fish, you just have to choose smarter. Welcome to Senior LifePlus, and in this video, I'll walk you through 8 common fish that may be secretly harming your heart and brain health, and show you the best, doctor-approved alternatives that truly protect your circulation, your memory, and your independence. Before we dive in, how old are you? Where are you watching from? And how often do you eat fish each week? Drop it in the comments below. And if you care about keeping your mind sharp and your heart strong after 60, make sure to subscribe and click the notification bell. Let's uncover the truth together. Because what's on your plate tonight could shape how you feel tomorrow morning. Coming in at number 8, let's start with a fish that many seniors consider their go-to superfood: sardines. They're small, inexpensive, and packed with omega-3s. For decades, doctors have praised them for heart health, bone strength, and brain protection. But here's the hidden truth: it's not always the fish itself that causes trouble. It's what it's swimming in. Let me tell you about Helen, 72, from Florida. Every evening, she'd open a can of sardines in olive oil, sprinkle a little salt, and enjoy it with crackers. "It's my heart-healthy dinner," she used to say proudly. But lately, her ankles had started to swell, and she'd wake up at night with her heart pounding. Her blood pressure, once steady, had crept into dangerous territory. When we checked her food log, the culprit was clear. Those healthy sardines were quietly flooding her body with sodium, nearly 500 milligrams per serving. That's almost a quarter of an older adult's entire daily sodium limit, packed into one tiny can. And the oil or brine they come in can double that amount if you're not careful. According to the Journal of the American Heart Association, consuming excess sodium can raise your stroke risk by 17 to 23%. It pushes fluid into your blood vessels, forcing your heart to pump harder. For people over 60, that pressure can weaken delicate arteries in the brain, the very vessels that keep you alert, balanced, and steady on your feet. And it often happens overnight. You go to bed feeling fine, but by morning your circulation is under stress, blood pressure up, vessels inflamed, and the brain starved of oxygen. That's why some seniors wake up dizzy, or with tingling hands, and assume it's just aging, when in fact, it's the sodium silently tightening their arteries. But here's the empowering part: the fix is simple. Choose sardines packed in water instead of oil. Look for labels that say no salt added or low sodium. If your only option is the regular kind, rinse them gently under water before eating. It can remove up to 40% of that salt. Then, pair them with potassium-rich foods like spinach, avocado, or a squeeze of lemon. Potassium helps your body balance sodium and relax blood vessels naturally. Sardines themselves aren't the enemy. They're full of healing nutrients your body needs. The danger lies in the salt and oil they're soaked in. So next time you reach for that can, remember sometimes, it's not the fish itself, but what it swims in. At number 7 on our list, tilapia, the fish that fooled millions of health-conscious seniors. It's light, affordable, easy to cook, and often advertised as a heart-friendly protein. But here's what most people don't realize. The way tilapia is raised today has changed what's inside it and what it's doing to your arteries. Take Robert, 66, from Arizona. After his doctor told him to cut back on red meat, he switched to tilapia, grilling it 3 times a week. It's lean, no grease, no guilt, he'd say. Yet after a few months, he began waking up with pounding headaches, tingling in his fingers, and unpredictable blood pressure spikes. He thought it was stress until we looked deeper. Lab tests showed high levels of inflammatory markers, the same ones we see in patients with early vascular damage. His diet was the trigger. The tilapia he bought, like most found in supermarkets today, was farmed, and that's where the problem begins. According to researchers at Wake Forest University, farmed tilapia contains 10 times more omega-6 fatty acids than omega-3s. Omega-3s calm inflammation and keep your blood vessels elastic. Omega-6 in excess ignite inflammation, thickening blood, irritating vessel walls, and making the body more prone to clots and strokes. The researchers even concluded, tilapia may be worse than bacon for inflammation. Let that sink in. A fish that's supposed to heal may actually inflame your arteries faster than a plate of fried bacon. And for seniors, inflammation is the quiet thief of circulation, damaging capillaries in the brain, legs, and hands before symptoms ever appear. When that inflammation builds, you might feel small warning signs: morning headaches, stiffness, tingling hands, fatigue after meals, or that strange pulsing in your temples. Over time, those are the red flags of vessels under stress. But the solution doesn't mean giving up fish altogether. It means choosing smarter fish. Look for wild-caught trout or rainbow trout, both rich in clean omega-3s and naturally low in toxins. Even 1 or 2 servings a week can calm inflammation, stabilize blood pressure, and help your arteries breathe again. So the next time you see tilapia on sale, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, is this really nourishing me, or quietly working against me? Because you may think you're choosing lean protein, but if it's farmed tilapia, your body could be silently inflamed from the inside out. At number 6, we have one of America's most trusted pantry staples, canned tuna. It's quick, cheap, and for many older adults, it feels like the perfect heart-healthy protein. You pop the lid, mix it with a little mayo or celery, and lunch is done. But here's what most people don't realize. Inside that harmless-looking can may be a slow, silent toxin that builds up over time. One that can quietly weaken your brain, your circulation, and even your balance. Let me share a story. Evelyn, a 70-year-old widow from Oregon, prided herself on eating clean. Every day for lunch, she'd have a tuna sandwich or tuna salad. It's better than bacon, she'd tell her daughter. But after several months, she began noticing odd symptoms. Her hands trembled slightly, her memory felt fuzzy, and she'd get dizzy after standing up too fast. When her doctor ran lab tests, they were stunned. Her mercury levels were 4 times higher than the safe limit for adults. And she hadn't eaten any exotic fish, just tuna, almost every day. Here's why that happens. Most canned tuna, especially albacore or white tuna, contains methylmercury, a neurotoxin that accumulates in large ocean fish. It doesn't leave your body easily. So with every can, a little more mercury stays behind, building up in your tissues, brain, and blood vessels. Over months or years, that mercury interferes with how your nerves communicate, reducing blood flow to the brain and weakening coordination. The scary part: these effects often appear gradually. Many older adults simply blame aging for their brain fog, tremors, or unsteady steps, when in reality, their nervous system is slowly being poisoned by something in their lunchbox. The FDA's 2023 advisory now warns that older adults should limit tuna consumption to just 1 or 2 servings per week, especially if you're eating albacore. Light tuna, which is made from smaller fish, usually contains less mercury and is a safer choice. But even then, moderation matters. If tuna has been your go-to, don't panic. There are simple ways to protect yourself without giving up seafood. Switch things up with sardines in water or wild-caught salmon. Both are naturally lower in mercury, packed with omega-3s, and even richer in calcium and vitamin D. They nourish your brain and heart without the toxic baggage. And if you still enjoy tuna occasionally, pair it with antioxidant-rich foods, like leafy greens, lemon juice, or avocado, to help your body neutralize some of that oxidative stress. The bottom line? Tuna itself isn't evil, but eating it daily can quietly sabotage your circulation and brain health. For seniors, even a small buildup of mercury can tip the balance between steady steps and a dangerous fall, between sharp thinking and confusion. The danger doesn't strike overnight. It builds quietly, bite by bite, until one day, your body begins to whisper that something's wrong. So listen early. Choose wisely. Because sometimes, protecting your brain means rethinking what's inside that can. At number 5, a comfort food that's hard to resist: fried fish and those crispy fish sticks that many of us grew up loving. Golden, crunchy, and delicious, they look harmless, even nostalgic. Many seniors tell me, "Doctor, I only eat fish because it's good for the heart." And yes, fish should be heart-healthy, but once it's dipped in batter and fried in industrial oil, everything changes. Take George, a 72-year-old retired engineer from Tennessee. Every Friday night, he and his wife had a long-standing tradition: fried catfish at their favorite diner. It was their healthy indulgence. But lately, George had been feeling different. His legs felt heavy, his ankles swelled by evening, and after meals, he'd get waves of fatigue that made him want to nap right at the table. When his checkup revealed early signs of arterial stiffness and elevated triglycerides, he was stunned. "But I thought fish was supposed to help my heart," he said. "Here's the science behind why it didn't. When fish is fried in commercial oils like corn, soybean, or reused deep fryer oil, its delicate omega-3 fats are destroyed. What replaces them are trans fats and oxidized compounds, the worst kind of fats for circulation. These damaged oils cling to your arteries, make blood thicker, slow flow to the brain and legs, and set the stage for stroke or heart attack." According to a 2020 study in the journal Stroke, adults who ate fried fish just once a week or more had a 37% higher risk of stroke compared to those who didn't. That's not a small number, it's a wake-up call. Those comforting bites may be quietly eroding the very circulation they were meant to protect. Your body feels it too. Heaviness in the legs, brain fog after lunch, that afternoon slump. These aren't just random signs of aging. They're clues your blood is struggling to flow freely through vessels that have lost their natural flexibility. But here's the encouraging part: you don't have to give up fish altogether. You just have to change how it's cooked. Instead of frying, try baking or steaming your fish. A drizzle of extra virgin olive oil, a squeeze of lemon, and a sprinkle of herbs can bring back the flavor without the danger. Wild salmon, trout, or even sardines baked gently still deliver those healing omega-3s your heart craves. And if you're tempted by store-bought fish sticks or fast food fillets, remember, most of them are loaded with refined oil, breading, and sodium. Your heart deserves better than a frozen box. At number 4, we come to a fish with a noble name, king mackerel. For years, it's been praised for its rich flavor and high omega-3 content. Some even call it the king of the ocean. But for seniors, this royal fish carries a hidden crown, one made of heavy metals that can quietly poison the very circulation it's supposed to protect. Let me tell you about Frank, a 69-year-old retired police officer from Georgia. He loved to grill. Every Sunday, he'd marinate thick king mackerel steaks in lemon and herbs, toss them on the barbecue, and proudly tell his grandkids, "This is the good kind of fat. It keeps Grandpa's heart strong." But over the years, Frank began noticing something strange. His hands trembled slightly when holding his coffee mug. His blood pressure, once steady, started to swing unpredictably. He felt occasional dizziness that made him nervous to drive. After several checkups and blood tests, the results shocked him. His mercury levels were off the charts. His doctor explained that king mackerel is one of the highest mercury fish in the ocean, along with shark and swordfish. The Environmental Protection Agency's EPA Fish Advisory specifically warns older adults and pregnant women to avoid these fish entirely. Microscope, here's why. Mercury doesn't just sit in the meat, it binds tightly to proteins inside large, long-living fish like king mackerel. When we eat them, the mercury builds up in our bodies over time. It crosses into the brain, disrupts nerve function, and reduces blood flow to delicate vessels in the brain and eyes. For seniors, that means higher risk of tremors, blurred vision, memory problems, and yes, strokes. What makes it even more dangerous is that you can't smell, taste, or cook the mercury away. It's invisible, but it stays circulating quietly, damaging cells day by day. The good news is, you don't have to give up mackerel altogether. The smaller, Atlantic mackerel is still rich in omega-3s, but contains only a fraction of the mercury. Think of it as the safe cousin, same flavor, same heart benefits, without the toxic load. Enjoy it grilled, baked, or in a salad with olive oil and lemon. At number 3, let's talk about a food that feels sophisticated, comforting, and oh so delicious: smoked fish. Whether it's smoked salmon on a Sunday bagel or smoked herring at breakfast, it's the kind of meal that makes you feel like you're doing something healthy. After all, it's still fish, right? But for older adults, that smoky, savory flavor can hide something far more dangerous: a quiet storm of sodium and nitrites that slowly choke your circulation. Let me tell you about Margaret, a 74-year-old retired librarian from Seattle. Every morning, she'd enjoy a slice of smoked salmon on toast, paired with a cup of green tea. It was her healthy ritual. But lately, she'd noticed her fingers felt stiff when she woke up, her ankles were swollen, and sometimes her hands tingled while she read. Her doctor found her blood pressure creeping higher and mild swelling in her legs, all signs of sodium overload and vascular stress. What Margaret didn't know is that most smoked salmon or herring can contain over 600 milligrams of sodium per serving, nearly 1/3 of an older adult's daily limit. And that's before adding bread, cheese, or pickles. Over time, that constant salt intake forces the body to retain fluid, increasing pressure inside the blood vessels. For the aging heart and brain, that's like turning up the water pressure in an old pipe. Eventually, something gives. But sodium isn't the only concern. The smoking process itself, the very thing that gives fish its flavor and color, produces compounds called nitrosamines. These are chemical byproducts that form when nitrites used for preservation react with the proteins in fish during smoking. Studies show that nitrosamines can damage the inner lining of blood vessels, promote oxidative stress, and reduce the elasticity of arteries, especially in seniors. That's why so many older adults who eat smoked fish regularly report subtle but telling symptoms: morning puffiness, tight rings, tingling in the hands, or that heavy leg feeling by afternoon. These are early warnings that your body is struggling to push blood efficiently through vessels under pressure. Light bulb: the solution doesn't mean giving up flavor. It means cooking smarter. Instead of smoked fish, try fresh salmon or trout, lightly steamed or pan-seared in a touch of olive oil. Add a squeeze of lemon for zest, minced garlic for circulation, and a sprinkle of fresh herbs like cilantro or dill for natural detox support. You'll get all the taste, none of the toxicity. At number 2, we reach a fish that nearly everyone believes is the gold standard of healthy eating: salmon. Doctors recommend it, magazines call it brain food, and it's often at the top of every heart-healthy diet list. But what if I told you that the salmon most people buy today isn't the same fish nature intended? Here's the truth that few talk about. Farmed salmon isn't raised in pristine ocean currents. Most are kept in massive pens, where tens of thousands of fish share confined space, swimming in their own waste. To keep them alive and growing fast, producers use antibiotics, pesticides, and synthetic pigments to make their flesh look pink. Even worse, the water and feed often contain industrial contaminants like PCBs and dioxins, both known to disrupt hormones and damage blood vessels. According to a major study in the Environmental Science and Technology Journal, farmed salmon contains 5 to 10 times more toxins than wild-caught salmon. These chemicals don't just wash out, they accumulate in the body, especially in fatty tissues. For seniors, that toxic load can inflame the inner lining of blood vessels, stiffen arteries, and lower the brain's oxygen supply. The result? Increased risk of stroke, memory problems, and fatigue that no vitamin or supplement can fix. And the irony is painful: the fish you eat to protect your heart could be quietly working against it. But there's good news. You can still enjoy salmon, just choose the right kind. Look for wild-caught Alaskan salmon or sockeye salmon. They live in clean, cold waters and feed on natural plankton, not pellets. Their deep red color comes from real carotenoids, not dyes, and their omega-3 content is naturally high. Eating wild salmon once or twice a week provides all the heart and brain benefits, without the chemical baggage. So next time you see Atlantic salmon at the store, pause and ask yourself, did this fish swim freely in the ocean, or was it raised in a tank? Because if your salmon came from a tank, not the ocean, it may be feeding disease, not health. And finally, at number 1 on our list, Atlantic cod, a fish that looks pure, simple, and harmless. For generations, it's been a staple on American dinner tables: light, flaky, and easy to digest. Doctors often recommend it for seniors because it's lean and low in fat. But here's the catch: that very leanness is exactly why it may not protect your heart or brain the way you think it does. Meet Linda, a 71-year-old retired school principal from Michigan. After her husband's heart scare, she completely revamped their diet. No fried foods, no red meat, just grilled cod 3 times a week. It's pure protein, she'd proudly tell her friends. But 6 months later, Linda began feeling constantly tired. Her legs cramped at night, and she occasionally lost her balance when standing. Her blood tests revealed a problem that surprised her: her triglycerides were creeping up, and her good cholesterol, HDL, had dropped. What happened? Cod gave her protein, but not protection. Unlike salmon, sardines, or trout, Atlantic cod contains almost no omega-3 fatty acids, the essential fats that keep blood vessels flexible, reduce inflammation, and protect the brain. In other words, cod is all building blocks and no shield. It feeds your muscles but leaves your arteries unguarded. The British Nutrition Foundation summarized it: perfectly lean fish provides protein, not vascular protection. And that difference matters deeply after age 60, when our blood vessels naturally lose elasticity. Without omega-3s, blood can thicken, arteries can stiffen, and circulation to the brain and legs can weaken, paving the way for fatigue, dizziness, and even stroke risk. You might think, but I'm eating healthy, Isn't low-fat good? Here's where modern nutrition gets tricky. Not all fats are bad, in fact. The right fats, especially omega-3s, are what keep your brain sharp and your blood flowing smoothly. When seniors switch to only lean fish like cod, they often lose that crucial anti-inflammatory balance. The result? Weak vessels, brittle nerves, and energy that fades too soon. But the good news is, you don't have to give up cod, just pair it wisely. If you enjoy its light taste, balance it out with omega-3 rich sides. Sprinkle chia seeds or ground flaxseed over your plate. Add a handful of walnuts, or drizzle flaxseed or olive oil on top. These simple additions transform a plain protein into a circulation-supporting meal. So let's take a quick look back. We uncovered 8 kinds of fish that might be quietly raising your stroke risk overnight, unless you choose wisely. Sardines in oil too salty. Tilapia inflames your blood vessels. Canned tuna builds up mercury. Fried fish destroys healthy fats in toxic oil. King mackerel, loaded with heavy metals. Smoked fish, packed with sodium and nitrites. Farmed salmon filled with chemicals from industrial feed. Atlantic cod, lean, yes, but lacking the omega-3s your heart and brain desperately need. Each of these may seem harmless on its own, but over time, they chip away at your circulation, your memory, and your energy, the very things that keep you independent and alive. But here's the good news: knowledge gives you power. Every meal is a new chance to protect your arteries, your brain, and your freedom to move without fear. You don't need to change everything overnight, just start small. Swap your fried fish for a piece of wild salmon, baked with olive oil and lemon this week. Add greens, nuts, or seeds to bring your omega-3s back into balance. Your arteries will thank you, and you'll feel the difference. If this video helped you, please tap that like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who loves seafood. Your story could save a life, maybe even your own. Stay curious, stay strong, and remember, your brain and heart deserve better every single day.